sorry, but Justin Bieber is never beating the allegations that he does not like his wife. Now, if you didn't see, it was just announced that Hailey Bieber would be on the cover of the summer Vogue issue. Justin has since posted the cover to his Instagram, and the caption is so damn shady. This man wrote, "Yo, this reminds me when Hailey and I got into a huge fight. I told Hales that she would never be on the cover of Vogue." What? Yikes, I know, so mean. For some reason, because I felt disrespected, I thought I gotta get even. I think as we mature, we realize that we're not helping anything by getting even. We're honestly just prolonging what we really want, which is intimacy and connection. So baby, you already know, but forgive me for saying you wouldn't get a Vogue cover because clearly I was sadly mistaken. What type of bullshit is this? What happened to just saying congratulations?
Did she troll her haters or accidentally admit everything?
This is my phone. These are a couple more that I keep on me. I really just use them for surfing anonymously, commenting, stalking, viewing girls' pages.
Hailey Bieber's new Vogue video feels like a response to all the hate she's been getting.
Probably when I was around 12, my dad flew me to go meet with this witch. She made this specifically for me. She told me that it would make a young Canadian pop star fall in love with me.
She brings out her favorite perfume to mock everyone who calls her a Nepo baby.
It's really gorgeous, really does all the work for you without you having to do anything.
In a twist that nobody saw coming, Hailey Bieber is finally clapping back. And she's not holding back. After months of whispers, wild fan theories, and viral TikToks claiming she's stalking Selena, obsessed with every move she makes, and even dabbling in witchcraft to win Justin, Hailey's flipping the script? Yes, you heard that right. Witchcraft. But before the internet can even catch its breath, she lands a Vogue cover like an absolute boss move, reclaiming the narrative with style, power, and poise. But just as her moment starts to rise, Justin Bieber crashes in, and not in a good way. He drops a moody, poorly timed Instagram post that instantly hijacks the spotlight. In it, he casually admits something jaw-dropping, that he once told Hailey she'd never make it on the cover of Vogue. Let that sink in. Her career-defining moment, and he brings up the time he doubted her. You couldn't script more awkward, timing if you tried, and yet, somehow, the stars keep aligning for Hailey. Because right after the Vogue moment, her beauty brand Rhode lands a $1 billion acquisition deal with ELF Cosmetics. That's billion with a B. It's a monumental win that should have put her in full celebration mode. But of course, no Bieber. Moment is complete without Selena Gomez getting pulled into the conversation. Word on the street, Selena may have been the one blocking Rhode from landing shelf space in Sephora earlier this year. That's right, reportedly she used her influence to stall the deal. But now, she's suddenly singing a different tune. Out of nowhere, she posts that she supports Hailey, the same woman she once shaded for defending a best friend. Suddenly, she's playing the mature peacemaker role. The question is, why now? And more importantly, who's really running the narrative? Because the media just can't seem to let go of one favorite headline. Hailey is obsessed with Selena. It's a recycled story, kept alive like it's on life support, and right when it starts to fade, boom, it resurfaces again. The drama never sleeps. And we've got the receipts. All right, chapters are up. Let's dive deep into this wild mess, starting with Hailey's Vogue win and Justin's now infamous confession that stole the moment. Let's be honest, you've got to be on a different level of clueless to take your wife's hard-earned cover story and turn it into a monologue about the time you didn't believe in her. It was supposed to be Hailey's spotlight. Instead, Justin's caption spun the public's attention in an entirely different direction. Just weeks ago, Hailey was being dragged online, called a stalker, a clout chaser, even accused of molding her identity out of Justin's ex. Twitter. Threads were brutal. Reddit was unforgiving. People labeled her manipulative, obsessed, thirsty. But then, with just one overly emotional caption, Justin flipped the entire conversation. He posted a carousel of Hailey's Vogue shots and wrote, "This reminds me of when we had a huge fight, and I told Hales she'd never land the cover of Vogue. I felt disrespected and wanted to hurt her with words. I was sadly mistaken." He capped it with, "Baby, you already know. Forgive me for ever doubting you." Sounds like growth, right? Except it wasn't received that way. In fact, it came off like a weird public therapy session, part confession, part PR damage control. And somehow, it worked in Hailey's favor. Suddenly, the same internet that was calling her toxic was turning on him. They called Justin cold, controlling, even toxic. The switch up, instant. The vibes, messy. Here's what he actually wrote. "This reminds me when Hailey and I got into a huge fight. I told Hales she would never be on the cover of Vogue. I felt disrespected and wanted to get even. Then came the self-reflection monologue. The typical revenge hurts real connection spiel. Some vague nods to emotional growth, and the cherry on top. Baby, you already know. Forgive me. I was sadly mistaken. Except, he probably meant sorely mistaken. But hey, grammar was never Justin's strong suit. So let's break this down. He admits he put her down, then uses her career high point to broadcast his personal guilt to millions. It's like he couldn't help but center himself, even in her victory. And somehow, it kind of worked. But not for the reasons he probably hoped, because what people actually saw was this: a woman finally getting her shine, only to have her husband dig up an old fight and turn it into his redemption arc. The result? Sympathy started flowing. For Hailey. The same woman the internet was roasting just weeks earlier suddenly looked like the one who had to fight for validation in her own home. The optics were rough, and the backlash on Justin came fast. What was meant to be a tender tribute turned into another chaotic PR moment, and the public saw through it. The caption didn't scream growth. It screamed, "Hey, remember when I told you you'd never make it?" Lol, my bad. It wasn't sweet, it was sloppy. And this is where we need to talk about the pattern. Because if you followed Justin for any length of time, and I have for over 12 years, you'll recognize it instantly. It's his signature move, the emotionally raw confession that loops right back to him. Even when it's someone else's time to shine, he finds a way to drop in a heavy, "I've been through pain too." And yes, Justin has been through it. From industry betrayals to public breakdowns, he's survived a lot. But here's the catch. When you're constantly pulling focus back to your own trauma, even unintentionally, it starts to look like self-sabotage. Or worse, emotional spin. That's why these captions rarely land the way he thinks they will. They're intended as vulnerable, but often get read as manipulative, because it always circles back to his pain. It's like he's trying to be accountable, but ends up recentering the narrative around his own struggle. Again. And the internet? They're not buying it anymore. Some see it as love bombing, others as damage control. But most agree? It's messy. Even when Justin's intentions are sincere, his delivery is chaotic. His words hit wrong. His timing's off. His captions feel more like soft PR campaigns than raw truth. He leans into that, "I'm the bad guy. Please forgive me, I'm working on it" storyline. And to be fair, he is working on it. He's gone to therapy. He's opened up about past mistakes. He's publicly apologized more than once for the ways he's hurt people. But the execution? Still shaky. And so what should have been a clean win for Hailey? Vogue cover, $1 billion. Beauty deal, media momentum. Got buried under another wave of confusion, criticism, and viral think pieces about Justin's emotional state. Because no matter what he says or how he frames it, there's always that ghost of his past hovering. Behind every word, the wild years. The broken relationships, the public meltdowns, it's all still there, coloring every new chapter. And the truth? Justin Bieber is trying, but the internet has a long memory. And when you're constantly explaining yourself to people who already made up their mind, it's a losing game. It's obvious Justin's trying to lean into some kind of peace, not just with the public, but with himself. There's this deep need to be seen as someone who's grown, someone healing, someone redeemed. But here's the catch. Every time he tries to share that journey online, it doesn't land the way he thinks it will. What he sees as raw honesty, the internet often clocks as calculated emotional spin, or worse, manipulation. And honestly, it's not just because of the words he uses, it's the baggage behind them. Because Justin's past isn't private. It's messy, public, documented in headlines, YouTube clips, mugshots, and fan tweets. So no matter how heartfelt his caption is, there's a portion of the internet that will always filter it through that old lens. Reckless, selfish, drama-prone, and that's why, even when he's trying to show love, like in this Vogue moment, it doesn't come off as loving. It comes off as dramatic. As another episode in The Justin Show, where Hailey's win gets turned into his self-reflection arc. And let's be clear, this isn't about denying him space to grow. It's about timing. Because when someone is finally getting their moment, you don't jump in with, "Hey, remember when I doubted you?" and expect applause. That's not growth. That's a guilt bomb dressed up in vulnerability. And the public felt it. They started saying Hailey deserves better. That Justin always centers himself. That even his support feels loaded with emotional baggage. And in a way, it's true. Because every time Justin tries to be tender, it's wrapped in a whole lot of past. Hailey's wins get paired with his regrets. Her glow-ups get smothered by his apologies. Sometimes just letting her shine without the deep captions and emotional confessions would have said more than anything he could have posted. But once again, her Vogue win became another plot point in his emotional saga, whether he meant it that way or not. And when the backlash hit, Justin panicked. He edited the caption, removed the emotional monologue, a shrug, a finger pointing, a heart, a tear. No words, just vibes. You can't make this stuff up. It was like watching a man throw his hands in the air and whisper, "What did I do wrong?" to an audience that had already decided, and behind the scenes, the confusion was real. Sources told Page Six that the original post was meant to be a simple, heartfelt, "I'm sorry" paired with a "congratulations." No drama, no deeper meaning. And maybe Hailey got that. Maybe she understands how he speaks, what he means, what he's working through. But the public, they don't have that intimacy. They only have the post, the pattern, and the history. And just when it looked like the tide was finally turning in Hailey's favor, guess who re-entered the chat? Yep, Selena Gomez. Just when Hailey was regaining her ground, with sympathy pouring in, Vogue headlines glowing, and her billion-dollar beauty move making waves, Selena Gomez decided to reappear. And the timing, suspiciously perfect. Out of nowhere, Selena posts a soft, aesthetically curated Instagram story that reads, "You matter. Your voice matters. Your heart matters. You are worth more than you know." Then adds, "You know who you are, and I'm cheering you on." The internet didn't hesitate. Fans immediately clocked it as a subtle peace offering to Hailey, the same woman Selena once shaded, avoided, and allegedly blocked from landing a Sephora deal. Because here's what makes the timing so wild. Just hours earlier, Selena had liked a post from Rodex Sephora announcing that Hailey's brand would officially be hitting Sephora shelves this fall. And that caught attention fast, especially because just months ago, according to Puck News, Selena was reportedly the exact reason Sephora held back in the first place. Sources close to the situation claim that Selena used her influence to stall Hailey's deal behind the scenes. So now, after months of silence and speculation, she suddenly shows up with hearts, affirmations, and a well-timed "I support you" narrative. The question on everyone's mind, is this growth or cleanup? Because the same fans who are now praising Selena's maturity were the ones dragging Hailey for liking Selena-related posts just weeks earlier. They labeled Hailey a stalker, a copycat, a manipulator. The double standard? Loud. Some believe Selena's story is genuine. Others are calling it damage control, a calculated PR pivot designed to polish her image right as the narrative shifts, and the timing couldn't be more on the nose. Remember, Vogue's profile on Hailey directly called out creators who were allegedly paid to bash her online. That matched up perfectly with the receipts we dropped in our deep dive on the Bieber smear campaign, where anonymous influencers confirmed that coordinated anti-Hailey content was very real. So now that that truth is out and the public's finally opening their eyes, Selena suddenly soft launches a redemption arc. Fans are divided. Some say she's being mature, others say she's just trying to get ahead of the storm. But then came the next twist. Right as things were cooling off, boom, new chaos. Celebrity gossip page Dumois drops a bomb. Allegedly, Selena slid into Hailey's DMs after Justin's awkward caption, and Hailey's Vogue buzz started dominating the headlines. The story? Hailey accidentally opened the message, freaked out, and immediately called Kylie Jenner for backup. What was in the DM? That part's still a mystery. But fans are convinced it directly connects to Selena's viral story that read, "You know who you are, and I'm cheering you on." Now the internet is split again, because either Dumois has unreal access to screen taps, or Selena's, playing peacemaker in the mess she might have quietly fueled. Because if this really happened, it's not giving unbothered. It's giving savior complex. And the layers just keep stacking. Around the same time, Hailey finally claps back. Not in words, but through her Vogue video. She shuts down the stalker narrative and throws direct shade at all the people saying she forced Justin to love her. And then Selena starts posting. A lot. First, she uploads a blurry selfie with the caption, "Me trying to see the Fs I don't give." Then a photo of her asleep, caption, mood. Translation, I'm unbothered. But here's the question. If you're really unbothered, why are you posting back-to-back reminders that you're unbothered? Because it didn't stop there. Next, Selena reposts an old video of her and Ariana Grande from February, captioned, I'm reminded that women can always be supportive of each other. I love you, Ari. Then she throws up a clip of Taylor Swift giving a motivational speech, followed by a glowing shoutout to Miley Cyrus. Back to back. It wasn't random. It was a fan base unification tour in disguise, and fans caught it fast. Whether you love Selena or not, one thing is clear. She knows exactly what she's doing. The timing, the aesthetic, the curated sisterhood vibes. It was all part of a larger message. I'm not the villain. I uplift women. Don't come for me. But the deeper the internet looked, the more strategic it all started to feel. Then came the wildest twist yet. Dumois doubles down, claiming that after Hailey saw the DM, panicked, and called Kylie Jenner, that now iconic Instagram story from Selena, the "you know who you are, I'm cheering you on" line, was actually posted after that DM exchange. If true, that flips everything, because it means Selena didn't just post a vague, uplifting message. She sent it directly to Hailey first, and suddenly the internet's asking, is Selena trying to fix something she secretly broke? Or worse, is she performing peace for the public while stirring chaos behind the scenes? Because if Dumois' version is real, it's not giving peacemaker. It's giving calculated PR choreography, like she's choreographing forgiveness on her terms, in her timeline, after the narrative turned on her. And fans? They're spiraling. Some are buying the redemption arc, others are calling it out. Loud. Because let's not forget, just a few weeks ago, Vogue confirmed what we already suspected, that content creators were being paid to smear Hailey. And Selena's name, it was floating around in the background of those rumors. So when she suddenly steps in as the bigger person, a lot of people are side-eyeing it hard. Then came Hailey's own subtle response. In her Vogue video, she calls out the stalker accusations head-on. She laughs at the idea that she somehow manipulated Justin into loving her. She throws real shade, no captions needed, and almost immediately, the internet pivots again. The spotlight shifts back to Selena. And what does she do? She fires off more posts, this time dripping with strategic calm. She shares a blurry pic with a snarky caption, then a sleepy selfie with mood. Then she hits us with a friendship montage. Her with Ariana, Taylor, Miley. Rapid fire. Let's be honest, that's not spontaneity. That's brand management in motion. It wasn't just I support women, it was, let me remind you I'm everyone's favorite. And whether that's smart strategy or emotional manipulation depends on who you ask. While Selena was busy curating her unbothered energy, Hailey was telling her truth, raw, unfiltered, and finally in her own voice. In her Vogue cover story, she opens up like never before. She talks about the emotional pressure of fame, the trauma of constantly being picked apart online, the way people turn her every move into a headline, from divorce rumors to mom shaming to the never-ending obsession with her marriage. And yes, she even addresses the Selena drama, not by name, but in tone, in subtext, in the weight behind, her words. She says, becoming a mother gave her a new kind of strength, the kind that makes you stop performing for people who'll never like you anyway. You really start to give less of an F. She says, I don't have the time, I don't have the energy. She's not begging for public approval anymore. She's done trying to prove herself. But here's what hit hardest. She talks about how Rhode, her beauty brand, shifted everything. It took her from being Justin Bieber's wife to a powerhouse with her own name, her own lane, her own billion-dollar deal. Vogue puts it plainly, Rhode didn't just succeed, it kept the Biebers in the spotlight after Justin canceled his tour in 2022. And now, Justin isn't the main act anymore. He's the supporting player in her era. And then came the moment everyone's been waiting for, how she really feels about all the noise around her marriage. Hailey admits she fought hard to be understood, to be seen beyond the headlines, the hate, the speculation, but after a while, you start to realize that some people don't want to understand you, and nothing you say will ever be enough. There's nothing I can do about that, she says. I've tried, and it still gets twisted. You could hear the exhaustion between the lines. She wasn't defensive, she wasn't polished. She was just real. This wasn't about explaining anymore. It was about letting go. While Selena was busy curating her unbothered energy, Hailey was telling her truth, raw, unfiltered, and finally in her own voice. In her Vogue cover story, she opens up like never before. She talks about the emotional pressure of fame, the trauma of constantly being picked apart online, the way people turn her every move into a headline, from divorce rumors to mom shaming to the never-ending obsession with her marriage. And yes, she even addresses the Selena drama, not by name, but in tone, in subtext, in the weight behind her words. She says becoming a mother gave her a new kind of strength, the kind that makes you stop performing for people who'll never like you anyway. You really start to give less of an F, she says. I don't have the time. I don't have the energy. She's not begging for public approval anymore. She's done trying to prove herself. But here's what hit hardest. She talks about how Rhode, her beauty brand, shifted everything. It took her from being Justin Bieber's wife to a powerhouse with her own name, her own lane, her own billion-dollar deal. Vogue puts it plainly. Rhode didn't just succeed, it kept the Biebers in the spotlight after Justin canceled his tour in 2022. And now, Justin isn't the main act anymore. He's the supporting player in her era. And then came the moment everyone's been waiting for. How she really feels about all the noise around her marriage, Hailey admits. She fought hard to be understood, to be seen beyond the headlines, the hate, the speculation. But after a while, you start to realize that some people don't want to understand you, and nothing you say will ever be enough. There's nothing I can do about that, she says. I've tried, and it still gets twisted. You could hear the exhaustion between the lines. She wasn't defensive. She wasn't polished. She was just real. This wasn't about explaining anymore. It was about letting go. In the most vulnerable part of her Vogue feature, Hailey finally confronts the non-stop obsession with her marriage, the constant headlines, the fan theories, the divorce countdowns that never seem to end. And she doesn't sugarcoat it. I feel like I've fought so hard to get people to understand me, she says, to see me, but sometimes people just don't want to. And there's nothing I can do about that. You can feel the resignation in those words. This isn't just about trolls or clickbait. It's about a woman who's exhausted. Exhausted from defending her own reality. Exhausted from correcting the same lies over and over, only to be told she's still lying. It's a trap. A psychological loop that sounds like, if you stay quiet, you're hiding something. If you speak up, you're defensive. And Hailey's done playing that game. She gives Justin his flowers, too. She says she's learned so much from him, especially about handling pressure. He's been doing this since he was a kid, she says. He's faced more scrutiny than anyone I know. His advice to her? Baby, trust me. I've been here. There's no winning. Cold, but real. And on the swirling rumors about their marriage, she shuts them down completely. It's not real, she says. My real life is waking up to my beautiful family, my son, my friends. I have people who truly know me, and I love them, and they love me. But she's also honest about what it took to get here. It wasn't pretty, it wasn't easy, and yes, it took a lot of therapy. She opens up about just how brutal the postpartum experience was, especially going through it while being publicly dragged online. She was emotionally fragile, physically drained, and still, people were out here writing essays about how her marriage was fake. That kind of pain? I can't even begin to explain it, she says. It's a crazy life to live. And she's not wrong. So with all of this, the postpartum trauma, the raw honesty, the rebuilding, you'd think people might finally ease up on Hailey. But no, even with a new baby, a billion-dollar brand, and a vulnerable Vogue interview, the obsession hasn't cooled down. Not with her, not with Justin, and definitely not with their marriage. When asked whether she thinks the public will ever stop dissecting her relationship, Hailey gives a soft smile and says, I thought after 7 years, it would have by now, but it hasn't. It's like she's accepted that some people just want her to fail, want this love story to unravel, want her to be the villain in someone else's fantasy. And instead of defending herself, she just shrugs, like, so I guess they're going to stay mad. Because even now, with the birth of their son and everything Hailey's been through, the media still finds a way to spin it. enter Justin Bieber, and the machine that can't stop watching him. Every blurry photo, every oversized hoodie, every Instagram post that's slightly offbeat or out of focus, it becomes a headline. Is Justin spiraling? Is he broke? Is he brainwashed? Is he trapped in a cult? They paint this image of a man falling apart, when really, this is who Justin has always been. He's always hated touring, he's always smoked, he's always posted cryptic stuff. This isn't new, it's just older. And now, there's a baby in the mix. But instead of seeing it as a guy trying to adjust to fatherhood, faith, and a shifting industry, the press frames it like he's collapsing. And if that sounds extreme, it is. But it's also intentional, because the media doesn't just report on Justin, they feed on him. And now, there's a new narrative on the rise, one that doesn't just question Justin's marriage, but tries to connect him to something darker, the Diddy scandal. Justin's name keeps getting tossed into the headlines, whispers, speculation, and finally, his team responds. They release a statement to TMZ. Although Justin is not among Sean Combs' victims, there are individuals who were genuinely harmed by him. Shifting focus away from this reality detracts from the justice these victims rightfully deserve. It's direct, respectful, necessary, but the fact that they even had to say it tells you everything. Because despite no credible evidence tying Justin to Diddy's crimes, his name keeps popping up in the same conversations. Why? Because it sells. And here's where it gets sinister. Behind the scenes, most reports show that Justin's past trauma isn't connected to Diddy at all. There were other names in those stories, other powerful figures, ones we broke down in detail in our previous expose. But the media? They've picked their villain. And now they're folding Justin into the mess, without proof, without pause, and without concern for the consequences. It's not journalism. It's black propaganda, designed to distort, distract, and destroy. Because when you repeat something loud enough, often enough, it starts to sound like the truth. And suddenly, Justin's image is being shaped by a loop of recycled chaos. The messy Instagram posts, the vintage clips of breakdowns, the old interviews repackaged as proof he's spiraling. Even TMZ dropped an entire documentary. And let's be honest, it had the depth of a TikTok thread. No real reporting, no new facts, just speculation, edits, and emotional baiting. Their two big themes, money and Selena. Over and over. Because if they can't use facts, they'll use the nostalgia of drama. While the media keeps painting Justin as unhinged and Hailey as desperate, Selena Gomez, she's still floating above it all, carefully framed as the innocent, the mature one, the one who moved on. But here's what nobody's asking. If Selena's really over it, why is the machine still orbiting her name? Because just as Rhode announces its $1 billion acquisition by ELF, Rare Beauty tweets this, "Still here," alongside two pictures of Selena blowing a kiss. The shade? Loud. The timing? Surgical. The message was clear. Unlike Hailey, I still own my brand. But here's the twist. That's not even true. Insiders say the ELF acquisition is a huge win for Rhode, not a sellout. It's normal. Strategic. A sign of success. Meanwhile, Rare Beauty? Reports suggest they've been struggling to lock in long-term buyers. And after catching heat for the tweet, they deleted it. Fast. So now fans are asking, if Selena's truly unbothered, why is Rare Beauty throwing silent darts? Why does the cool girl image keep needing maintenance? Because that tweet wasn't random. It was damage control, wrapped in glitter. And this isn't just about brand rivalry. It's about narrative warfare. The media loves to pit women against each other, but they especially love when one plays the angel and the other gets to be the witch. And Hailey, she's been painted as the villain for years. Even when she stays silent, the headlines keep writing her as obsessed. Meanwhile, Selena's silence is treated as graceful. Her captions are read like scripture. Her curated posts, Ariana, Taylor, Miley, are seen as power moves. But let's be real, that's not neutrality. That's strategy. The optics are choreographed, and the public is finally catching on. What we're seeing now, it's not just gossip, it's gaslighting on a mass scale. Headline after headline, story after story, all reinforcing one thing. Justin's lost it, Hailey's obsessed, Selena's above it. But zoom out, and the bigger game starts to show. We're in a loop, a propaganda loop. Not the kind with military uniforms and megaphones. the kind that runs on views, virality, and vibes. Say something enough times, in just enough variations, and eventually people stop questioning it. And right now, the story that's being repeated is this: Justin is broken, Selena is blameless, Hailey is unhinged, even when the facts don't add up, even when Hailey is thriving, quietly evolving, healing in plain sight, even when Justin is showing up, being a dad, stepping back from the spotlight, even when Selena is subtly throwing shade while preaching peace. The machine keeps spinning because it's not about truth. It's about control. Remember, it was right after Rhodes' billion-dollar deal that Rare Beauty threw that now-deleted tweet. It was after Hailey's Vogue win that Selena posted those cheering you on stories. It was after Justin tried to be vulnerable that the internet called him manipulative. Again, the timing is never random, and that's why people are finally starting to ask, who's pulling the strings? Because Hailey and Justin may be chaotic, but they're also consistent. Selena, her silence has become her greatest performance. And the media, they're not reporting anymore. They're directing. This isn't about love triangles. This is about public image warfare, and the audience doesn't even realize they've been cast. So now, here we are, Justin Bieber versus the media machine. But this isn't about one bad caption or one awkward Vogue moment. This is about who gets framed and who gets protected. Because when you really break it down, half the headlines that go viral about Justin and Hailey wouldn't even make it into a sidebar if it were any other couple. But the Biebers, they're always front page chaos. Why? Because it's profitable. Because it's familiar, because the internet already made up its mind, and now it's just looking for proof to back it up. Justin posts blurry selfies, he's spiraling. Hailey promotes her brand, she's attention-seeking. Selena breathes, she's brave, it's not fair, but it is calculated. And while Hailey opens up about postpartum trauma, while Justin tries to share his truth through messy captions and tear-filled reflections, the media keeps zooming in on the wrong things. They want the drama, not the reality. They want to keep Justin trapped in 2014, keep Hailey cast as the villain, and keep Selena untouched. But here's what people forget. Justin has always been complicated. He's never been fake. He's not melting down. He's evolving. He's navigating fatherhood, public scrutiny, and a spiritual rebirth in real time. And that doesn't look like a clean PR package. It looks messy, human, honest. So while the headlines say he's lost it, he's actually finding his balance. While they say Hailey's obsessed, she's finally found her center. And while they say Selena's above it, she's still quietly playing the game. Because make no mistake, this isn't just about a love triangle that never ends. This is about power, narrative power, perception power, brand power, and the people. Pulling the strings, they're counting on you not noticing. But if you've made it this far, you've already seen through the noise. So drop your thoughts in the comments. What do you think is really going on? And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because we're just getting started.